Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Kelsey here from astrologyhumandesign.com. Here to talk about Saturn retrograde, and I'm taking advantage of the beautiful sunset. Oh, you can't see it. I want you all to see it. Oh. I really want y'all to see this. It's gorgeous. Naturally, it doesn't look as good on camera as it does. Anyways. So, yeah, here I am. This was like a highly requested video from those of you that follow me on TikTok. So, here I am talking about Saturn retrograde. So Saturn went retrograde on June 4th, and it's going to be retrograde from June 4th until October 22nd when it goes direct again, and it's in the sign of Aquarius. So it'll be moving back through the sign of Aquarius, and it depends on where you have an Aquarius in your, where you have Aquarius in your chart for how this is going to be affecting you on a personal level. I'm not going to go over major transits of this Saturn retrograde, although maybe I'll do a second video about the major transits that'll be taking place while Saturn is retrograding for the next 5-ish months. But I really just wanted this video to talk about Saturn retrograde in general and give you some horoscopes for how, and predictions for how this might be affecting you based on your rising sign. It is going to be the most accurate based on your rising sign. If you want a personal reading by me as how this is going to affect the other parts of your chart, or you want to learn just general how transits affect your chart, that's something I talk about in my Astro HD membership classes that you can access through my website. So check that out if you want to learn personally how to look at the transits and know how they'll be impacting your chart on a personal level, because I can give you a general horoscope based on your rising sign and tell you the area of life this is going to impact for you. But it really depends on what you have in your chart around air signs and fixed signs, as well as other placements in your chart that might be affecting this transit too, that are going to impact you differently than they would someone else who doesn't have those placements. And I'm not someone to promote general astrology like that, so I always have to preface my predictions and horoscopes by saying that it impacts everyone's chart differently. This is just a very broad generalization. So Saturn retrograde, Saturn is actually more, what is the word I'm looking for? Saturn kind of likes to be in retrograde because Saturn is a harsh, right? It's a malefic, it's a harsh planet. And when it's direct, it is giving us hard karmic lessons. It's like that father figure, right? That stern, father figure. Like that's when Saturn is in its normal movement direction of forward, right? But when Saturn goes retrograde, it kind of slows that down. It kind of slows down the harsh karmic effects of Saturn. And so it's kind of a more harmonious time. Like Saturn's energy is less harsh on us when it's retrograde versus when it's direct. So that's just something I wanted to note and throw out there, because I feel like you hear Saturn retrograde, oh no, Saturn is like the father of time, and like, oh no, like the karmic lessons, the hard like shake up, like Saturn's like the hard planet. It's like like the most demonized planet in astrology, I feel like. But Saturn retrograde really isn't all that bad. It's really just a slowing down, a reassessment of our commitments, our disciplines, the way in which we're taking action to heal our karmic lessons, right? It's kind of like, again, all that slows down and we get more of an internal look at all of those things, versus when Saturn is direct, it's very external. We're very externally faced with our karmic lessons, the challenges that we may face around being disciplined or committed to whatever area of life Saturn is transiting at the time. But when it's in retrograde, it's a little bit more chill, a little bit more slow, a little bit more internal as well, like more reflection, more reassessment, as in most retrogrades. They're all about reassessment, reflection, slowing down, having an internal focus versus an external focus. So that's what is going to be a major theme of this Saturn retrograde. I'm going to switch my directions here because Oh yeah, this is way better lighting. You guys are getting like real, very real time video from me today. So, and I get to watch the sunset now. So if you're an Aries rising, you're gonna have Saturn going retrograde in your 11th house, which is the house of friendships, of community, of technology, social media, as well as like our long-term visions and goals. So if you're an Aries rising, Saturn is going retrograde in this area of your life, probably slowing down a lot of karmic lessons for you in terms of friendships, community, social media. You're probably reassessing your relationship with social media and with technology as a whole, as well as reassessing your friend groups and the people that you want to have around you, and whether or not they're in alignment with your long-term goals and visions that you have for yourself. If you're a Taurus rising, then Aquarius, Aquarius rules your 10th house, and this Saturn retrograde is going to be impacting your 10th house. I also want to note that it's important to look at where in your chart you have Saturn and where in your chart you have Uranus, because those are going to be kind of tied into this retrograde cycle as well, and like tied into the lessons that this retrograde cycle has for you to learn. So again, this isn't just like a isolation, like there can be no isolation when it comes to astrology. You have to look at the bigger picture and the whole. So where's Saturn in your chart? Where's Uranus in your chart? What aspects is it making to other planets in your chart? And what aspects is it making to other transits right now? So that's going to give you a bigger picture of how this is impacting you on a personal level versus just very broad generalization of me assessing one isolated part of your chart. Excuse me, I just had dinner, so I'm like clearing. So if you're a Taurus rising, Aquarius rules your 10th house. So this is going to be a reassessment in your career, probably a slowing down of things in your career, momentum in your career, so that you can reassess and take a different approach, or look at, or repivot, or redirect the ways in which you want to stay disciplined and committed to the actions you have been taking in your career and how you've been showing up in your career. Maybe even reassessing and reframing how you've wanted to be seen in the public eye, how you've wanted to be known in your career, what you've wanted to be known for, what you've wanted your reputation to be, kind of reassessing and reframing a lot of those things as it relates to like your public life, your career, kind of like how you're showing up in alignment with your purpose as well. So all of that is getting like a reframe during this time. Let's see, who's next? Gemini rising. So this is transiting your 9th house. So probably reassessing your relationship with travel, with learning. If you're in school, reassessing your relationship to being in school at all, or maybe just switching directions and what you want to study, or just reassessing the way you've been showing up for school. Like, are you really committed? Are you really disciplined or not? Do you want to take a step back? Do you want to take time off? That type of energy if you are in school. If you're not, excuse me, oh my God. Traveling, probably just reassessing, your travel plans, or wanting to travel more internationally, wanting to just get out of where you have been for the past few months or years, and just kind of experience different cultures, experience different walks of life. And that's going to be a really big focus from now until October, as well as, where you're gaining wisdom, where you're seeking experience in your life to gain wisdom from, and what you're learning about, maybe picking up a new area of study, or just diving more deeply into an area of study that you've been interested in for the past few months or years. Who's next? Cancer rising. Cancer rising, this Saturn retrograde is transiting your 8th house, which is the house of transformation, of death, of sex, of intimacy, of vulnerability, of debt and taxes. No, I said death, not debt. Death, taxes, other people's resources. So Cancer risings, you guys are really reframing your relationship with other people's resources in your life, either paying off some debt or just kind of reassessing the way in which you've been maybe relying on other people for support or for help, and maybe asking for help more in the places that you need it, maybe even financially, maybe taking out a loan, something of that nature, or just reassessing the debt that you already have and kind of reframing your relationship with how you've taken on finances and support from others, be it a bank or your partner or a family member, something of that nature. Leo rising, this is transiting your 7th house, as Aquarius rules your 7th house, which is the other in your chart, the relationships in your life. Marriage, if you were married, probably maybe reassessing your marriage. This is Funny, this is coming up right now. Johnny Depp has his Saturn in Aquarius in the 7th house, and we all know how his kind of relationship life has been for the past few months with the defamation trial and everything going down with him. So not that that's like an indication of how this is going to impact you. Obviously, we all have different charts, so it's going to impact your chart differently depending on where you have other placements. But there is going to be a re-looking at, a reframing of your relationships with other people, be it friendships, business partnerships, collaborations, marriage, romantic relationships. All of your relationships with other people are going through a big reframe, and they're probably reflecting back to you more clarity about your own self and how solid you're able to be in your own sense of self as well. Virgo rising, this transit is moving through your 6th house of work, of the health of your physical body, of well-being, of daily routine, more so your health and work routine, kind of like the work that you do for money. So if you're a Virgo rising, you're reassessing your relationship to work right now, and cultivating a greater work-life balance is going to be a big focus for you of the next 6 months, and being really dedicated and committed to the physical health of your physical body. I just said physical like way too many times. But the health of your physical body is really a focus, and reassessing your relationship with health, with well-being, with your health routine, your wellness routine, and maybe starting a supplement regimen or starting a workout routine, something of that nature is going to be a focus for you until October, and then that will really become more solidified when Saturn goes direct. And you'll start to see an actual effect, an external change from the changes that you're making now, if that makes sense. Libra rising, this transit is impacting your 5th house of romance, of dating, of passion, of creativity, of joy. So you're really reclaiming your joy, reclaiming your passions, reclaiming your creativity, maybe even reflecting on your creative abilities and how you can tap more into those and use your creativity more, maybe even online or through technology in some way or form or fashion. As well as reassessing your dating life, like reassessing the people that have come into your life as romantic interests, romantic partners, or if you're already in a relationship, just kind of reassessing the way you guys like have romance and like have intimacy and like a sex life kind of thing is going to be a reassessment and a focus for you in the next 5 to 6 months. Who's next? Scorpio rising. This is impacting your 4th house of home and of family. So you might be going through just some changes and reassessments within your home life, maybe moving, maybe redecorating, maybe just getting more disciplined and committed to a new kind of relationship with your home or even with your family or both, as well as your subconscious. Like this is a really big focus on reframing and changing up your private life, maybe redecorating. Did I say that already? I don't know. Or wanting to move. Just kind of feels like there's a lot of just reassessment and a visitation of like, okay, how can I change my home space to be more in alignment with, you know, the ways I want my home to look like and be and feel, as well as maybe some just family challenges or family things that come up that are like a reassessment of, you know, boundaries in terms of your family members. And then Sagittarius rising, this is transiting your 3rd house, so a reassessment of your day-to-day routines, of your communication, maybe relationships with those people in your life that are really close to you, just reassessing like who you want to have in your close, tight-knit community, kind of like that neighbor type energy, maybe like going out and networking more with people in your sphere and just kind of like expanding the people that you're talking to and connecting with on a day-to-day basis. Maybe even visiting new places in your routine, like starting to go to coffee shops, starting to go to juice bars and work from places like that or something if you're able to do that type of work at those places, something like that. And also reframing your communication with yourself and reframing your belief systems, reframing your thought patterns, really reframing and taking a good hard look at your mental space and what changes you want to make there to move forward with. Capricorn rising. This is transiting your 2nd house. So there's just going to be a reassessment and a realignment with your financial situation. Maybe starting to realize, oh, if you've been living off a savings or living off, you know, funds from someone else or something like that, kind of starting to be like, oh, I need to get serious about like, you know, moving forward in my career, like finding other ways to make money, maybe investing, and just starting to kind of like broaden your scope as it relates to your financial matters and your money situation, as well as reassessing your material possessions and what possessions you actually have in your life and are aligned with, like kind of the energy of minimalizing or downsizing and getting kind of rid of things that you no longer resonate with, that you feel like you no longer value or no longer provide you, you know, a sense of like support or practical use. Just like really reframing the physical items that you have in your life and the changes you want to make to those to just feel better in your space and feel better with the things that you have around you, and really have more things that you actually use versus just having stuff that takes up space that you don't really ever use. As well as, like I said, really having a focus on reassessing your finances. You're maybe like starting to get like a budget, or really just starting to dream bigger and have a bigger picture and a bigger focus on like what the money is that you want to make, and how are some ways that you can call that in for yourself. Maybe like setting new goals in your money situation, setting new goals for your finances or something like that. Aquarius rising, this is impacting your first house. So really reframing and reassessing the changes that you've made in the past couple years as it's related to your identity, your sense of self. You're really going through like a kind of recommitment to yourself and to not only like your physical appearance, maybe making some changes there, but also just like how you're committed to your own self, your boundaries, your personal development, your personal growth, your health routine, like just really assessing, okay, what are the things I need to change to be more in alignment with myself, and putting up boundaries to make the changes that I need to make to take care of myself better and to put myself first type of energy. It feels like you guys have really been going through a lot with Saturn in your first house the last 2 years. And so this is a reassessment and a slowdown of all the kind of like hard lessons that have been happening there for you in terms of your identity and your sense of self, and really reframing those to look at, okay, how can I use this to benefit me, to make the changes that I want to make in terms of my identity, and really show up as a new person, more embodied in my true self, my individuality, my uniqueness, my eccentricity, as well as my zone of genius. Like, what is my zone of genius, and how do I want to like commit myself to that and stay disciplined to honoring that and sharing that with the world in the ways that I feel called to. That was really long. Pisces rising, last but not least, this Saturn retrograde is transiting your 12th house. So just a reframe and reassessment of your mental health. And there's a really big focus right now on your mental health with Saturn transiting here for you. And so what are the actions that you're taking to be committed to your spiritual journey, your mental health, and really taking care of yourself? Is it here in that area of your life? Is it hiring a therapist? Is it you know, practicing meditation and yoga every day? Is it going for a nature walk every day? Like really cultivating a greater relationship with the way that you take care of your mental space and your mental health, and really making that a focus and staying disciplined and committed to whatever that practice is that you need to really take care of yourself in this part of your being and this area of your life. You might also be feeling called to like revisit some past lives and like just kind of reflect on the past life karma that you have brought into this life and heal from it. As well as just kind of, there might just be some things in your life that are like, I don't know why I have this problem. I don't know why, you know, this happens for me. And that's the 12th house energy. Like the 12th house is the hidden house. So it's kind of like these lessons might be a little bit hidden from you. And so having some sort of like hypnotherapy or past life regression, or like someone to guide you, maybe like an Akashic Records reader or a therapist, something like that to just guide you through what's going on for you, so you can really get some more clarity around it, because it is kind of like a little bit veiled from you. But I really feel like it stems from your mental health. And so just being aware of like what thoughts you're playing on repeat in your mind, and what kind of like your mental spaces are in and out every day. The changes that you experience there is going to be really helpful for you during this time. So that's what I have for you, Pisces. I wish you a wonderful Saturn retrograde season, and let me know how this resonated with you in the comments below. I love to hear from you all. So let me know what you're looking forward to in the next 6 months and how you feel like this energy is showing up for you. And I'll see you in the next video. Much love.